So, hi, hello, welcome. Let's go ahead and get on into this. Again, my name is Serene Priestess Gorgeous. It's a delight and an honor to serve as your oracle today. We realize here that you have other viewing options. Thank you for making us one of yours. There's been some shifts in the consciousness and the guidance to the temple here on how to shift things around to make them more accessible to you, but also understand this is like a Libra kind of conversation, by the way, that we all have needs, and my need and the temple's needs is to be a bright light in the dark, and that requires us to have access to a lot of information and not to be, I would say, overly controversial or overly bull in the china shop. So we got to touch and broach some hard, heavy duty hitting stuff. But if you're not part of the temple society, part of the temple community, it might go over your head. So again, always check the show notes. Comments are not always going to be open. They will be right now until the website goes live. We'll talk more later. So this is a briefing. There'll be an extended reading in the show notes. Okay, so that's why we have this conversation. But my findings so far is that there's something divine about us, sovereign and serene about us emerging. And it's as if it's coming to the surface. Pardon me, there's going to be a moment of noise. It's as if it's like coming to the surface. So our divinity is emerging, and our divinity is emerging in multiple ways. Now, the first thing that we're noticing is that our ability to command is pronounced. So command is defined as order protocol, following direction protocol. Protocol is means, mechanisms, methodologies. So it could be your guides, it could be your ancestors, it could be spirits. Typically, all those combined together would equal the energy of angels. So I don't want to specifically say it's commanding angels, using angels, sending angels, receiving messages from angels, but these angels, angels of light, would be the archetype of your guides, your spirits, your ancestors, protectors, etc. So this part of us that's eternal is what we're seeing, and that's what I'm finding, that it's not always about defending ourselves, because we're going to continue to be wounded. That's what life brings. But it's not, we're not going to feel like we have an inability to defend ourselves. It's actually going to be more of like our innocence, our purity is going to be our saving grace, is going to be our redemption, because we have a special connection to the divine. Now, divine is a blanket term. So divine means things that unify us to source energies. Now, source could be God, it could be spirit, whatever word you have for it. But prime source creator, the primordial energy that created the universe, us having a relationship with that will weather the storm, because that's when we're connecting to that child divine energy, we're like literally merging into the higher self, or merging enough into the higher self to leverage that energy. Okay, now the recommendation here is that we need to move beyond this. We need to learn what this whole victim mentality is. I'm not saying that we are embodying the victim mentality. I'm saying like those moments when we feel like things are happening to us instead of happening for us is that razor cutting, bleeding edge of growth potentiality, learning opportunities, mess becoming a message, test becoming a testimony, trial becoming a tribunal, a tribune. So the recommendation is liberate. So I'm just going to read this card here. And it says, instead of imposing your own tyranny over those you claim to liberate, ignoring legitimate constraints, it's probably better to free yourself and others from outmoded beliefs, releasing negative thought patterns. So first thing coming through is beliefs, be lie if. So you can be a lie if you are reacting versus proacting, if you're reacting and not responding. And so this liberator complex, that's You know, because Libra is a time about emerging from this whole God complex, whether it's you are the God or like the almighty, I'm powerless, God's mad at me. So I'll broach that later, but um, you know, you feel the way you feel because of what you decide to think. And thoughts are a choice, they're a decision. Now, you think the way you think because of your belief system. Beliefs are a choice, they're a system. You have a belief system. And if you're unable to change your beliefs, then you need to look at your program. Now, programming is defined as conditioning. Yes, implanting of, okay, I'm hearing primal energies that imprison you, impress upon the soul in a way that triggers you. It triggers physiological responses. So let me repeat that again. The way you feel is a product of your thinking. When your thinking changes, your feelings will change. Understand that feelings will eventually change your reality. You have an emotion, and emotion is energy. Emotion is actually the present. Feelings are the past, but feelings typically are from something. You don't become aware of your feelings until you look at your emotions. So when you can be present in the emotion and realize that you can be a neutral, detached, observant, that's when you become bigger, brighter, better, higher. Libra is the crown on your head. Understand it that way. It's the seventh sign of the zodiac, the third dimensional zodiac. So it's funny because, like I'm saying, you know, your thoughts will eventually affect your reality because your thoughts affect your actions affect your results reinforce your thinking. But you feel the way you feel because of what you're deciding to think, and your thinking is a product of your belief system, and your belief system is a product of your programming. So some people feel like they're in this victim mentality because they have this knee-jerk, regurgitated, almost like post-traumatic stress reaction to everything, and that means you're being governed by the experience. You're not governing the experience, and that's kind of problematic. Now, there's nothing wrong with being there because that may be your wounding, and that's just where you start your journey. That's where your healing journey begins. But again, understand, reading cards here, the recommendation here is to you do have to become neutral, detached, and observant. You do need to preserve knowledge and information and stop applying labels to things. Actually seek meaning in it, and that'll be what you decide to call it. So that whole victim mentality, damsel mentality, wounded mentality, whether it's you or not, if it's not you, if that's not something that you do, fully flesh out the concept and idea so that you could recognize it, you can spot it, and then you'll begin to step into mastery. And if that is you, then surrender, sacrifice, and arrest that faculty, that perfunctory maladaptive idiosyncratic response, that lower self knee-jerk reaction. It's a reaction versus a response in that moment. If you find that you can't step out of the experience and just go through the energies, go through the energy, energy, emotion, and experience it, but not be affected by it. So when you're experiencing an emotion, then it becomes a feeling when you own it. So you're having that energy, emotion, and it's coming into your aura. And according to the vibration of your heart, you can say, I will align with this or I will unalign with it. So if you unalign with it, move it outside of your aura and just look at it. Take a snapshot, look for the information, run through your little belief system and say, okay, what is manifesting this? What's alive in me? What am I wanting, thinking, and needing? You know, what is attracting this to me? You hear the shift? So believe it or not, this is a briefing. I kind of want to stop. There's a lot of deep work here that we can do. So there's an extended reading, which is free this month and maybe even next month. Okay. I want to welcome you to that. Learn what we're doing, kind of notice some of the shifts and get your needs met. I want to fully flesh out these concepts and ideas that I'm dripping on you. Okay. So check the link in the show notes. Ultimately, I just want to repeat, the Libra new moon is about planting the seeds of self-worth and value, autonomy, franchise, and control. Libra is about being in alignment on a universal scale here in the physical. It's about getting everything done through your third dimensional experience so that you can be fully embodied, fully awakened, fully empowered when you get back to the spiritual. And then actually, when you align here in the physical, you begin to anchor the higher spiritual self into the physical. Now, the thing is that nothing manifests in the physical unless it gets properly filtered through the spiritual. So again, if you have this victim complex, like everything's happening to you, it means you're out of alignment in the spiritual. That's why nothing's working in the physical. Okay, and that's the concept of God, you know, benevolence, all compassion, recognizing the eternal force within yourself and others versus despotism, cruelty, using power to control people, being controlled, all of that kind of energy. Because where we need to heal is this pioneer spirit. Some of us have a compulsive need to keep moving on because we're reacting, we're not proactive, we're reacting, we're not responding. So we're not responsive, meaning we're not responding the proper way, or even worse, it might be despondence, the inability or the unwillingness to respond to the experience. If you don't like your experience, say, hey, experience, I'm going to acknowledge you for what you are, I'm going to acknowledge you for what you've come to bring, okay? And I thank you for serving your purpose. Let me just clarify what that purpose is and allow you, release you. You've served your purpose. I'm going to release you to your highest vibrational outcome. That's the kind of Libra energy. You know, Libra is funny because Libra is kind of like the daughter. It's the woman or the girl who can call upon her big brothers to beat somebody up that isn't treating her well. And Venus is always the princess, never the queen. The queen is the moon. So in Libra, it's about being that exalted beauty in partnership, whether it's a friendship, a citizenship, relationship, okay, and even a rulership. If you own your own business, is how to exalt the process of getting needs met. So keyword for Libra is harmony. How do you harmonize? Okay, you know, Libra has a shadow side of not getting their needs met until everybody else has their needs met. And oftentimes you can become neurotic or fixed on what is perceived of problems because you're arriving at obstacles, helping people get their needs met, and you will begin to externalize your own deficits or externalize your own lack of getting your own needs met. So people can take on the face of your problems. And where you end and where other people begin can become murkier and murkier and murkier when Venus is out of alignment. But in context of the new moon, we're planting the seeds of self-worth and value, how to get our needs met, how to have self-worth, okay? And then understand that we're also in the Venus retrograde. Venus rules Libra. So there's a lot of concepts and ideas about old lovers, a lot of concepts and ideas about value-based decisions, value-based criteria. If you don't know who you are, then you're gonna become somebody else. You're gonna be following somebody else, and you're never gonna be happy, or your happiness is gonna depend on somebody else. And I'm saying somebody, but to a lesser degree, a far lesser degree, it could be person, places, or things, but mostly persons, especially with Libra. It's a people. All of the air signs are people signs. Okay. Now, cardinal air is about the incarnated experience of what air is. Now, air is a couple things. Air is, we call it atma. So it's desires and relationships. So desires that we derive out of relationships, and it could be relationships with others, person, places, or things, or relationships with ourselves, ancestral, supernal, or terrestrial. Okay, I know that was a lot of information, so again, there's even an extended reading in the show notes, but a little bit more. We have this pioneer spirit here, compulsive need to move on versus passion for doing and creating what has not yet been done before, okay? So after we begin to heal in this type of energy, then we'll have this need to understand what's been taken from us. Like I was saying, if you don't know who you are, your need, your happiness will be externally derived. I have the hiccups. You'll have an external locus of control, which means your happiness, your atomic force of control comes from external. You're being controlled by some external energy, person, place, or thing. So we have now this, the need is healing. The gift to give yourself, or what you're needing, is to shed light on the potential wealth within you that can never be stolen, because the shadow of this is thief, stealing money, creative ideas, affection, other powers that you think you lack. It's not even that. It's really like, if you don't know what makes you divine, if you don't know what makes you sparkly, if you don't know what fills you full of love, if you don't know what exalts you, other people, especially vampire energy, is always going to come in and take it. Because again, Libra, this Venus retrograde in this Libra new moon, we're going to start to see why partnerships broke down, whether they were friendships or lovers. We're going to start to see why things haven't been working out, things haven't been fully in alignment. And it could be the need to look at your value-based belief system, whether it's self-worth and value, or even your shopping decisions, like how you choose. Are you going with the cheapest thing, but it breaks down 2 weeks later? Like I have a little rule when I'm buying a bottle of wine, you know, usually around the $12 mark. I have a rule when I'm going to the store to buy something, like, you know, find the cheapest thing and then go 2 prices above it. You know, little tips and tricks like that. And some will work for you and some won't, you know. I don't want to get too specific because this is just a briefing, but it is saying that the reason this is happening is because the gift to give ourselves is embracing that. Instead of embracing negative causes or committing to causes for personal gain, like marriages of convenience, partnerships of convenience, not saying things, allowing yourself to be walked all over because it's easier and it's less conflict, versus inspiring you to put compassion into action. If you see the light in another person and you see their divine nature, then you can understand their human experience of why they're doing something. And it's the same with you. Instead of having the story that you always fall upon hard times, you fall into dramatic situations, or that you vilified and victimized, it's saying, okay, well, this is what alive in me that attracts this darkness towards me, or these low vibrations towards me. And here's the compassion I need to give myself first, in terms of forgiveness for who I was to get to this point, and now hope, wish, faith, and optimism to get to the next part. And so if this is a person victimizing me, I have compassion for them and their low vibrational nature. And they're also serving the cause in my environment to remind me of my self-worth and value. And now what is my need to them? If we're in a partnership of them waking me up to my spirit, karma, life, past destiny, to remind me of who I am, why I'm here, and what's alive in me in terms of self-worth and value, then what is the need that they have? Probably compassion. That's the highest form of love. Venus rules love. Okay. And love in the darkness is really just to find light, to find something to align with, to find a high, it says it's ruled higher love, but not spiritual. Higher love means love of others in a way which exalts them. It doesn't tear you down either. So Venus and Libra, Venus rules Libra. Venus is the Empress card, but that's Libra is the Justice card, and the Justice card is Venus in Libra. So it's also the concept and idea of Ma'at. And the dark moon, the reason I didn't do it a couple of days earlier, because to tune into that energy is to tune into Ma'at. And it basically in Voodoo or Orisha, it would be, or Santeria, it would be, or Lukumi, it would be Oya. And that energy is the cemetery. It's a little bit harsh. As a channel, I don't want to be yelling at people for a new moon. I'd rather do that for the full moon. So it can sound bad, it can sound scary, and it can be very much so. But the concept and idea of that energy, you know, not this whole new world, non-melanated science book, history book kind of love, Valentine's Day love. It's really more of like, there's a love which is not attached to anything in the material. If you can love in a way which does not trap your soul in hell under the sun for eternity, that's real love. And sometimes love is death. When the goddess loves you, what she does is she removes, she kills, she murders anything which keeps you from merging back into her. And so also understand that love in the physical is oftentimes evil spelled backwards, because we're normally trying to reach the goddess, but we're doing it through giving our power to another person, place, or thing. And so love of ourselves is the highest form of love, because that's when we can give freely and openly. And sometimes we need to do it with boundaries intact. Okay, so it's been an honor and pleasure to serve you. Thank you for allowing me the privilege to do so. If anything I said resonates deeply with you, you can contact us at Vertex of Abundance for an assessment, a reading, a consultation at oracle@vertexofabundance.org. There's also a link in the show notes to just go ahead and schedule an appointment right now. And there's also a flash sale, and I don't know how long it's going to be. And I welcome you. And please take good care of yourself. Remain in sovereignty, beauty, and grace. May the goddess walk with you, bless you and your ancestors for bringing you here, making beautiful babies like yourself. Until we meet again and to read again, namaste, dandavad, and ashe. Take good care of yourself during the cycle. We're about to go into some darkness, so it's a good idea to lean into the pain, lean into the wounding. The wound is where the light shines through. And again, kind of that's, oh yeah, it's not this whole Aphrodite. It's not. It's a misnomer. Aphrodite is an energy to give birth to things, but it doesn't always keep you in a place of protection. It doesn't keep you in a place of wholeness. Love in the higher realms is used as a nuclear weapon. It's designed to take people out of their space. It's designed to destroy your enemies by distracting them and seizing their storming their gates. It's bursting through their tower. It's blowing up their castle. So I don't want to scare you. I don't want to say love is bad. Love is beautiful. It can merge you into the divine, but only if you're chasing yourself, not something else, not someone else. Okay, so take very good care of yourself. This was a longer briefing. They're going to get shorter from now on, but take good care. Check the link in the show notes if you want to see the extended reading. Bye.